Hello and welcome to today's episode of Silk and Soil. I am so grateful for you to be here. Today's conversation is like my honest truth and my honest experience about building a soul-led business as a mother. And I think this is a conversation that we don't have often enough, or I guess publicly enough. There's always, I feel almost like this connection between like being a mother, running your own business, running a household, being the default parent. And this is one of the reasons why today I actually want to take you behind the scenes and talking about my experience about building my business as a mother and how this is different to how I built my previous business. But before I go into the episode, I have a super exciting announcement. As a podcast exclusive, if you leave a review for the podcast on any of the platforms and send me a screenshot of the review, send it to jen@jenanthony.co.uk, then I will gift you my Sacred Psychic Womb Healing Meditations. Now, this is a collection of 10 womb healing journeys just to guide you through your inner wisdom as you go through your cycle. Okay, so let's just dive into today's episode. And I guess I want to start off with like being the default parent. So when Sophia was born and I was made redundant, I think we made a very conscious choice for me to be home with her, build my business around her. And I think one of the things, never having had any children before, I mean, how am I supposed to know? But one of the things that I didn't realize would impact me was being the default parent. And being the default parent is really affecting how I can do work as well, and especially how I can do work when she's around. So the idea, I guess, originally was to obviously build my business around her. So I started my business when she was like 9 months old, and it was always like me working around when she was napping, because obviously at that time she was still sleeping a fair amount, and also on the weekends when my husband was then not working, so that I could do a little bit more work if I needed to. And that was always sort of the idea. I wanted to be present with my daughter. I wanted to be there for her. I wanted to raise her. So when I was made redundant, I wasn't sad about it because I was questioning all of this anyway. It was just a confirmation from the universe to, yes, let's do this our own little way. Let's just be at home with her as much as I can and build the business around that. Now, obviously, being so much with her, I'm very much in tune with her. I have become the default parent, which I obviously love. But the reality of this is now, I guess, is that now that she's older, so she is 4 years old now, when I can't do work as easily anymore with her around. So being the default parent, it's just like, yes, she goes obviously with her dad and she loves her dad, but she always comes to me. So what I try to do at the moment is when she's home, so she's in nursery for 2.5 days, and then the days when she's home, I try to do some work after my husband finishes work. So my desk, my work area, I guess, is in the living room. I have like my own little corner, and after he just finishes his dinner, I then sit down to do like, usually it's just about half an hour until bedtime anyway, so to do like half an hour of work. But because she sees me, even if I'm in our bedroom, for example, to record something, she will still come in to like have cuddles or whatever it is that she needs. And I think this is one of those things, like it's just the reality of it. It is really hard for me at the moment to do any work with her around. Now, likewise, it is really hard for me to do any work in the evenings. So Sophia generally, at the moment, I've got to touch wood, probably after today not anymore, for me she actually sleeps through now. I mean, when I say this is literally 4 days in a row. And when I say she sleeps through, when I'm awake, so my husband looks after her until he goes to bed between 11 and midnight, and then I have her for the rest of the night essentially. And for the last 4 nights, I think it's been 4 nights, she slept through that stint for me. I'm just like, yes. Not so much for him. It used to be the other way around. She used to sleep through his stint and then was up numerous times during my stint essentially. But like even now when she's like sleeping through my stint, I'm still very tired. I'm very much the way that I personally work, and I always have worked that way, and I know that, is I work best in the mornings. So I generally do all of my creative work in the mornings, and then in the evenings more like the admin work where I don't have to like have that much brain power, I guess. And so after bedtime, for me, I can't generally do admin. I can't do work. I do client calls because I love doing client calls and working with other mothers. A lot of that work is in the evenings, and that works for me. But to actually sit down on my laptop and do work, I can't do that in the evening. And my brain is just like gone. I just can't. So the reality of this is at the moment that I'm really struggling to get all of the work done that I want to get done, to take the business to where I want it to take. And it's a really interesting like sort of thing, because when you go on social media and you look around, and if mothers are talking about like building a business, it's always like, yes, and we do this and that and that and that and that, and I'm just like how do you do, like how? And I do understand that obviously every child is different, and other people may have support and their own like rhythms and stuff. So for me it's like really like tuning into like what it is that I need to do right now. And quite often I really feel like I'm chasing my tail. Like today is a nursery day. This is the only time when I can actually record. So otherwise there's just like in my podcast there's just no point, because I just have too much background noise. But like today it's a nursery day. It's my first full day back after the Easter holidays, and like all my list of things that I have to do, I'm just like, oh my god. It's not even so much that I have to do. Those are the things that I want to do because I need to go out. I need to, as I said, I want to get my business like to a certain point, and I have a really, really big vision for the business, and trying to cramp that into 2.5 days, a lot of times for me it feels like near impossible. And then you see, because depending on where I am within my cycle as well, I start comparing to myself to others, and I'm just like, how do they get their business to this point, and how do they can do all of that? And then I'm just like, yes, but they don't have any children, they work on the business 60 hours a week, which I just don't have. And it's, as I said in the beginning, it's not a conversation that we often have. So like building like this business for me it means absolutely everything, because I know the work that I do is so important, like to really like for mothers just to come back to themselves and just to do life their own way and just finding their own rhythm. And which is also what makes me so laugh almost, because I'm just like, trying to find my own rhythm, but like within my business, because I think this is the part of my life that I struggle with the most at the moment. I'm happy being a mum. When we're talking in terms of identity, like being the mum, being the wife, like having the house, sorting that out. But on top of that, holding the business and having like that business identity, that is where I really, really struggle at the moment. And I probably have done for a while. It's not just like this moment. And it's obviously with like working 2.5 days, and that's not even 4 days. So Sophia's going to nursery. Is it? So she's on a 30-hour funding, I think it is, that they get. So about 30-ish hours, which actually sounds a lot, but I don't actually get 30 hours to work on my business. So on the day where she goes half a day, I literally have 2 hours, just because drop off, pick up, and all of that. So even on a day like today, where she's a full day, so it's 4.5 hours. So I'm trying to like build this like huge business that I've like, my vision like is so clear, and I'm currently trying to build this business in like 12 hours ish. Yeah, let's say ish. Like, my math is not that great, so it's probably not 12 hours, but you get the point. And then when my like comparison kicks in, just like with all of like these other businesses that have, there are more to where I want my business to be. I'm just like, yes, but they have got like so much more time within their life and within their business to actually, take it there. And also, if you're not a mother, and I think a lot of the social people on social media aren't necessarily mothers that I follow, so they don't have that mental load as well, because being a mother, and again that's something that I've completely underestimated because I've not been a mum before, but the mental load is like so huge, like all of the things are constantly in my head just to keep our daughter alive and moving forward and getting like remembering everything, even though it's like written down. But there is, if you're a mum, which you most likely are listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So like the mental like load of all of that on top of your business is it's a lot. And one of the things that I started to, I guess, reconnect with everything, because what I've also noticed, like I was losing myself in all of this again. So quite a while ago now, I started getting up at 5 a.m. just to get some time for myself. It was originally with an intention to do some work, but it turns out I want to do some journaling. I want to do my morning sit where I just like really connect to myself, to my guides, and just really be, and just be me, and just be Jen. I'm not mummy, I'm not wife, I'm not anyone, I'm just Jen. I'm just like reconnecting to myself every single morning. And then the other thing that I started recently doing is doing my workouts and really prioritizing those. And that pretty much came about where I've recently hurt my back. Couldn't move for a day, then it was better, and I was getting worse again. And it was only getting better when I was actually doing workouts. So I'm doing workouts pretty much every single day at the moment. And those are just some moments just to like get back to me and also give myself some space. But then likewise I had this conversation with my husband the other day. I was like, I don't actually know when to do the workouts when I have client calls in the evenings, because at the moment I work out after after bedtime, so after Sophia's gone to sleep. And I'm just like, I will have to work that out somehow, and I know I will. I don't have client calls every single evening at the moment, so it's I can work around it. But I'm just like it's tough, and it's not, as I said, it's not something that we necessarily talk about in public. So this is why, like, to me, like, today's episode feels so important, because I love my business, I love building it, I love, like, going on calls with my clients, I love creating ceremonies and the journeys and everything that's around it. But, like, the reality of that is, like, there have to be some compromises. And yes, everyone says, yeah, everyone has 24 hours in a day. I don't disagree with that, but unless, I guess, you are a mum and run a business and have, like, the mental load that I have, which no one has, let's face it, you have no idea, like, what it really feels like and how draining it can all be, just to feel like you have to hold it all, just to run the business, to be the default parent, be the wife, like, make sure that the house is in order and all of that. And I'm honest, like, there have been many times when I was just like, I just wanna, like, no, just stop it all, let's just get rid of it all. Which is then when I just come back to, like, my vision. I'm just like, no, I'm here for, like, a reason. I'm here for this mission. I've got this vision. So no, I'm just going to keep going. To be fair, I've not had this point in a while, because one of the reasons is because I'm looking after myself, and I'm making myself a priority in all of this. And yes, that sometimes means that I can't do so much work, because I'm doing a workout instead, or doing something else for myself instead. But also, what we quite often as mothers forget is, if you're building a business, like, we are the business. Generally speaking, we are the business. And that's one of the things that I've for a long time forgotten about. So I guess if you don't know, I went to business school in Germany. I did a business degree in the UK. I've done many, like, business and coaching certifications and trainings and all of that. So I'm very much, like, in the, like, business and coaching and mentoring world, generally speaking, before I started my healing business. But that is so much ingrained in me, and it's just like needing to do things a certain way. And I think just generally conditioning as well. And I know this is funny, because I know this is not actually where I was going to when I was starting this sentence, this whole spiel. But there is just so much conditioning that is, I know, within me as well, and just where I'm just like, partly obviously because I'm German, I've grown up in, like, this very businessy kind of world, because that's what I always wanted to do. I always knew I was going to run my own business, which is why I went to business school. But, like, it's almost like it's giving me, like, this, like, very rigid structures, and being a mum just doesn't fit with that. Like, not just being a mum, but being a woman as well, and just being more flowy, and, working with my own rhythm and my own cycles, and none of that, like, really fits into that. So there's always been, like, almost very much of a disconnect for me as well, because I just don't know, essentially. And I'm always trying to find within my business, like, the best way for me. And that's the way I think it should be. Like, it's not about, oh, you follow these rigid structures, you need to do this to sell your program, you need to dance on social media, whatever it is. Oh yeah, I know where I was going. But it's very much us as women being our business, right? This is where I was going. So very recently I realized, because I always very much kept my motherhood and my business separate. Yes, motherhood was, people knew I was a mum because I speak about Sophia and I post about her on my stories, etc. But it was still very much separate from my business. It was only very recently, within the last few weeks, that I really started to go heavy on the motherhood, because that is my life, that is me, and whereas all of these other identities as well. But I wanted to bring all of me into my business, and it almost felt until that point I couldn't bring all of me in because of all of the conditioning, where I just said I was in this business mindset where it's just very much separate. You're a business owner, you're a mum, it's all separate. I don't actually know where that funny voice just came from. But it was very recently when I then just no, yes, I am a mum, I am a business owner, but I'm both. I'm a wife, I'm a woman. I want to bring all of that into my business, because trying to explain sometimes what I do is not necessarily that easy. It should be easy. It's yeah, I do womb healing for mums, and this is on the surface, I guess, what I do. But I also know it goes so much deeper, and my own life, I get so much wisdom from my own life and my own downloads, and my own client work as well. When I work with clients, the amount of things I get, I download just for myself, not necessarily for them as well, but just for myself alone, and obviously for them as well. We're having lovely conversations and everything, and I guide them through all of these lovely journeys. But it's a generally bigger conversation to be had, especially if you're a business owner. Being a mother as a business owner, there are so many different aspects to it, and it's, if you want to keep your motherhood and everything separate, that's fine. You need to do whatever works for you. But for me, that was started really being the point of the turning point for me. And I realized a couple of days ago when I was looking at my Instagram, just no, I should be posting more business stuff. I should be posting more this. Why is there so much motherhood stuff? And it's not even that much, I think. But I'm just no, but that is me. And there is, I feel especially on social media, which is where I've always really struggled, there is this almost expectation to be perfect, and to have the perfectly curated grid and stories and whatnot, and you have to have all of these cover photos and whatnot, all of these rules, right? And I'm just no, I don't want to. My life is not pretty perfect. Oh, sorry, I'm just pausing because I'm just is it pretty? It's definitely not perfect. I was well, we've got some pretty corners. And the thing is, life it's not meant to be perfect. No one in this world is perfect. Even the grids that are perfectly curated, their lives they aren't perfect. Whatever, we don't, perfect is a standard I don't feel we can ever achieve. Anyway, so it's a stupid standard to have in the first place. And I say this with love, and very much with love to myself, because I my perfectionism is right up there, and I'm actually getting better. But it's when it comes to my feed and social media, for me it's more about being myself, being my truth. And with all of these social media advice and structures and everything that I've received over the years, it's always very much almost how who do I need to be for people to come into my world? And I'm just, and that's very much how I operated for a very long time. Whereas now I'm operating from a point of view like I'm just being myself, and I know that the right women will come into my world. It's not about being perfect, because as I just said, like nothing, I'm not perfect, far from it. My life isn't perfect, far from it. I love my life, I love me, but that sounds really arrogant, I love me. But it's more about like, especially with like this AI world that we're living in at the moment, or era, it's not necessarily a world, but era, it's where everything is just so polished, and I'm just like, yeah, but my life isn't polished. I have a 4-year-old that is like very active. Like my house is, it is tidy, but like likewise quite often it's not. Like, and it's funny, I created some B-roll that I've used in a clip, and I'm just like, in the background there's like a sock on the floor, and I know it's a sock because it's my own sock, because I clearly didn't put it away, and I could have just like deleted the whole clip and whatnot, and I'm just like, you know what, no, because this is my life. Yes, I would love it to be look pristine, but that's not life. That's not what it looks like. My workspace, as I said, is within the living room, so I've got my own little like section essentially, and then next to me is like the sofa and TV and everything. And we've got Sophia's toys in here, so when I do some content within my little area, depending on how the camera is looking, it would have Sophia's toys in it, and that is fine for me, even though I've been told, like, you know, just make sure that it's not too cluttered in the background, blah 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 blah. And I get that comment, why, but I'm just like, yeah, but I'm a mum, I'm a mother, you know, I'm helping other mothers. If I am like really curating my feed, I guess, for others, just to be perfect and just to come across perfect, or whatever it is, like, I'm not relatable, and that is, you know, I don't want to be someone that's just puts out like content and it looks perfect, because, and then you go into call with me and then you see the chaos essentially. No, I just want to be myself. I want to bring myself to, I guess, my business, my brand that I'm building. And this is a huge step that I had to like go through as a business owner. As I said, with like bringing more of my motherhood and my motherhood journey into my business, like my personal things, like the thresholds that I'm going through, like the fact that I'm going through perimenopause, and because at the end of the day, all of this is me as a woman. All of this is me as the woman within that I'm like helping my clients to reconnect to. And that's the beauty of like life and womanhood and the feminine wisdom. And no, my business is not perfect. My business is, when you look at it on paper, like from a business point of view, it's, you know, I should be doing like the complete opposite. But I'm not, because it feels good to me, and I've tuned into like the wisdom that's coming through. So quite often in the mornings when I do my sit, I do ask my guides what I need to do today. And so, like, sometimes it's more general, sometimes it's very specific, like what do I really need to do, like in my business, what do I need to talk about, what do I need to receive, or whatever it is. Like I can be very specific with that, and I trust all of that's coming through, and that is what it like means, like really building this business like as a mother, like for me to be really like tuned into who I am, being connected to my guides. And I think I'm actually going to do a separate podcast around my guides and everything, because I really started to connect to them recently as well. But like coming back, I guess, to like the the truth of building this business as a mother, there is no one way. Like, you just have to do whatever is right for you, especially as a mother. Because as I say, like, as much as I want to spend like loads of hours in the business, that's not the reality for me. I can't do this right now. Once Sophia starts school in September, that's a whole different story. I get like loads of time back, essentially. Like, I probably won't know what to do with it, but for the moment, it is just what it is. And I think especially as mothers building like the business, we have to be flexible and really like go with the flow, and that is not something that's being taught in the business world generally. It's very much, you need to follow these structures and you can't deviate from them, and whatever else it is. And I'm not saying that you don't need any structures, because you do, but you need flexible structures. You need structures that are flexible around you, where you can be flexible. Because at mums, you just never know. Like me being a default parent, I can get the call any second that I need to pick her up. I mean, technically I can't get the call because my phone is turned around and it's just completely silent, but you get the drift. Like, there's always like, and I guess that's the other thing, right? Like working on my business, like in the back of my head, I'm just like, am I going to get a call soon? Am I going to get a notification that she's fallen again? Am I going to, whatever it is, right? So, and then also like working around like her, like things are coming up in nursery or preschool. I mean, there's not so much at the moment. There was obviously more around Christmas. But it's the same when she's starting school, where she's then going to have all of these, where parents can come in and all of that. And so I have to work around that, which I love doing. And this is why one of the reasons why I've started my own business, right? To just be there for her and be able to do all of these things. But again, like building your business around that, it's not necessarily the easiest way of doing things. Because quite often as well, when you have like calls like I do with my clients, it is very structured in the sense of like every 2 weeks, at the same time we have our calls, and which sounds very like rigid, but there is movement within that. Because obviously with me being a mother, my clients being mothers, there can always be something, like there can always be like that the kid is ill or needs to stay home for the day, or something can come up. So there is flexibility within all of that, whereas like generally within business, it's like, no, if you tell me, and I've worked under these principles, which is like, no, you have to give me at least 48 hours notice, blah 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 blah, to reschedule your appointment. And I'm just like, yeah, being a mum, I know that doesn't quite work. And I didn't understand that until I was a mum and had to deal with that myself. I used to, like, when I ran my yoga business in 2017, 18, 16, 17, 18, 19, 17, 18, 19, it was very much like the height of like bro marketing, and I was very much like, yes, I need to follow these structures, I need to do all of this, I need to have all of these things in place, like the cancellation policy, and they are there just to support you and help you. And I'm not saying that they are not a good thing to have, I'm just saying, especially as mums, there needs to be some flexibility, I feel. And you know your clients best anyway, but like when I was running my yoga business and I was doing calls because I was coaching as well, I had a very strict policy in place. And if that policy was broken, you lost your space. And that's just the way it was. And as I just said, like, because I wasn't a mum, and I wasn't really, I don't think, I can't remember like really working with mums at that point. But unless you are a mum, I don't feel like you know what it's really like. And I say this with all of the love, and I say this because like I used to teach prenatal yoga, and I wasn't, that was well before my time of being pregnant. I have obviously all of the training and everything, but I had no idea what these women were going through at all. Doesn't mean I can't teach them, because I did, and they were lovely classes and I loved them. But it wasn't until I was actually pregnant that I was like, oh my God, is this what they went through? It's like, gee, like, this is hard work. Just getting up in the morning is hard work when you're like 8, 9 months pregnant. So it's just like, I honestly, and this is also very controversial, but I honestly don't feel like unless you've been through it, you just don't know. You can have a good idea and you can have good understanding. You've obviously, not obviously, but you may have learned, like I did with my prenatal yoga. I learned all of the skills to be able to do that and hold these women. But until I went through that, I had no idea. And that's the same with like running a business as well. Like a lot of the advice, I guess, that I was taking came from women that didn't have children. So they don't obviously know what it's like. So again, comparing like my 2018 business to my business now, the reason why I stopped my yoga business was, in the end, I was so exhausted that in December, must have been 2019. When did COVID hit? I think that was 2020. So the December before COVID, because December's always been a quiet month, so I decided just to take a break in December to work out what I want to do, because I was just so exhausted. I was just constantly going with all of these like structures and strategies, and completely overriding my own rhythm, my own cycle, absolutely everything, because it was just that was like in the height of bro marketing era, and I was going with all of I went with all of that. So I literally burned out, and then COVID hit. So I took that as a sign. And for to be fair, for the longest time, I felt like I failed in business because I burnt out, and I just, and when I started this business, I was like, it was always at the back of my mind, like, but I failed my yoga business, until I was like, no, I did not fail it. I failed it in the sense that I was overriding my own rhythm, my own cycles, my own wisdom, yes, but I didn't know how to tap into that at that point. So I was just doing the best I could with the resources that I had, with the knowledge that I had, and that's all I could do. And it's now like I take my business like a lot slower, a lot more flowy, I guess, a lot more woo-woo. Like from the outside looking in, I feel like it often looks like I'm not doing anything, but that is like my own conditioning as well. Whereas I feel very guilty when my husband comes down. He works from home, so when he comes down and sees me like sitting on the floor, what looks like reading a book, or me sitting on a sofa because I'm having a lunch break watching TV, and I'm just like, why do I feel guilty about that? I always feel like I have to justify that working, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this conditioning is like running like so deep and is so ingrained, and it's something that I still work through, as you can tell. But that is the truth about like building this like as a soul-led business, and just really being in tune and just breaking that paradigm. to like be in a bit like more flowy space and creating that business that supports the family. And as I mentioned, like there is no one right way. There just isn't. It's all about like finding what works for you and what works for your family. Like, as I keep mentioning, as much as I would like to like work another hour or so a day, that's just not the reality of it. And that's just something that, you know, for the moment, I'm just like, I'm happy where I am, that I'm moving the business forward, and I've let go of this perfectionism. Like, if you go on my YouTube and where I do my 365 live series at the moment, like every single day, number one, I'm in a different space, which is just the reality of it, right? Depending on what time of day I'm recording, I need to be in a different space. Like my life today, like when Sophia's at nursery, it's fine. I can just be in my workspace. But when she's home, I have to go somewhere where she's not, or film when she is watching TV at after lunch. She has got like a half an hour TV break after lunch. So half an hour slot, it's like, okay, where can I go just to quickly film something, quickly film my life? But this is the like reality of it, of building this. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. I love the fact that my daughter knows that I'm building like this business. She's seeing me build it, learn. She sees me like do the things that scare the crap out of me. And I'm hoping that this also shows her like that she can do anything that she wants to when she grows up, and you know, that also teaches her that having children is not, you know, it's not holding you back. You can still achieve your big dreams, and you can still like achieve all of the things that you want to. So this is what I guess the big thing that for me today was just sharing really what's going on behind the scenes, and also I guess my thought process behind a lot of it, because as I keep mentioning, we don't talk about this enough, I feel. And I might just, when I feel called to it, share a little bit more about that on my social media. But it's the things that I share on social media is very much more about my like transmissions, what I feel like in a moment, rather than what I should be posting. So this is why I say, like, if I feel like it, that, you know, I will post about it. It's more about like when it comes through, that's when I post about it. But thank you so much for joining me today. Just remember that if you are leaving me a review, send me a screenshot, and then I will give you the Sacred Cycle Womb Healing Meditations for free. If you found this helpful and know another mother that could benefit from this, I would very much appreciate if you could share this podcast with the other mothers. Any shares are so very much appreciated. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you next week.